Welcome back. In this part we will create the dry ice smoke coming out from the mouth. The techniques are going to be pretty much exactly the same, so I'm going to go a little bit faster. And you can see that this is already cached. I have the smoke coming out from the ice. You can see everything is clean. Nothing is basically going through the pumpkin. Cool. So let's now focus on the mouth part. So I'm just going to reorganize this a little bit like that. Okay, so after we blasted the eyes, let's select this node that we used to blast. Hold Alt, click and drag it. So again, for your design, this might be completely different. So we're going to turn on delete non-selected, and I'm going to just isolate the mouth. So let's select the nose, S, and 4, select nose, blast the nose. Now we are going to focus on the mouth. So with the mouth, it's basically the same idea. The only thing is what I wanted to do is I wanted to separate the top part and the bottom part. So I'm going to delete this polygon on both sides here. I'll press S. Actually, we have to press 3 after S and select this polygon on one side. I'm going to select the connecting polygons and then press delete. So now we can just select the top part and the bottom part and move it freely to align better, right? Because it's not, again, it's not very ideal how it is aligned. So let's globally transform both parts and then we will align it a bit better. So let's put down transform, and I'm going to push it back minus 0.1. Okay, and we just want to move the top part a bit more up. Okay, so we can do it simply with the edit node. I don't want to see the pumpkin as clean as anymore, so I'm just going to just template it like that. And mainly just going to zoom in the area where I have the teeth. So we can select the mouth part. If we go to the viewport, press S, go to 4, and then select. Looks like it still selects both of these. Oh, that's weird. I thought I deleted. Oh, yeah, I created the transform. Actually, I had to create it after. So this dissolve deleted that polygon right here, and then we're going to put a transform after. So now it is all clean. Okay, so now I can select the top part separately, and I can move it up a bit. So if you select, let's say, the top part, and then you can just edit it. You can press T on the keyboard to edit it, and you can see that the 3D axis is now aligned to this. I actually want it to be aligned to the world. If I press M on the keyboard, so M will align it, and then if I put it up a little bit, let's see that it is now going to be a bit closer. So again, you can go as granular as needed with this, you know, to make sure that the top and bottom aligns. So I think the bottom is actually too low. So we can now, with the same edit node, we can press S, select this part, shift select the other. For some reason they are disconnected, and then press T again. It will keep the same edit node, right? And then we will move it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that, but I'll let you adjust it as needed. Okay, so again, the process is pretty much exactly the same. So pyro source, and we want to basically add some density and temperature. So initialize smoke, density and temperature, attribute just float to make the density more randomized. So we are going to multiply the density onto the noise, and we are going to set the minimum density to be 0.1, element size set to 0.1, and the ramp, I want to make it a bit sharper, so I'm going to set this to 0.5, and I'm going to set this to 0.7-ish, or maybe 0.8, somewhere like that. All right, so we have some interesting noise. And one thing that we can also do, we can turn on animation. We can do animate noise, and we can set it to a lower value. So we can press play, and we can have it a bit more animated. This smoke is gonna take a bigger area, so it's a good idea to animate it. You can also animate this one if you want, right? Just the same thing. So let's do volume, rasterize attributes, and again we want the split density and temperature, and we want to make it quite small. The resolution is going to be 0.00875, particle scale of 0.075. We want to preview the density. Let's turn off the template flag. Okay, so it's barely visible, but it's going to be fine when we simulate. Now let's do the same for velocity. So just velocity here, control middle mouse click to go to just see the velocity, and the velocity is going to be 0.5. And we're just gonna need to multiply this. I'm actually gonna select this, right click, copy parameter, select this, right click, paste relative reference, multiply by 1.5, merge. Okay, so now let's add a pyro solver. Solver. We want also to link the resolutions here. So let's select this source, Control C, Pyro Solver, voxel size, Control V, right click, copy parameter, and then let's make sure this is paste relative reference. Cool. Cool and cool. Okay, so now after this one, we would need to adjust some parameters. So if I press play on this one, well, first of all, the smoke would be going up. And let's also increase the density so we can see it a little bit better in the viewport. I'm gonna go to look, I'm gonna set it to 5. Okay, so the smoke is going up, but we want to simulate a dry ice effect. Right, we want to make it look like it's going down. It's like more magical. So a simple way to simulate something like a dry ice is, again, we can go to buoyancy, and in the first example where we had the ice, we just reduced the buoyancy 10 times. In this example, I will negate the buoyancy. I will make it -1. If I'll make it -1, the smoke will be just going downward. Right, and if we time this right, if we make this not as strong, so -1 divided by 2, and then if we add some ground collision, this will start looking more like a dry ice. So if we go to collision tab, ground plane, and then the y-axis, anything below 0 can act as invisible ground plane. In the y ground plane, we can just set close below and then press play. So now this would start looking more like a cold smoke. All right, so let's adjust the settings. So we want to use the collision again. We want to use the same pumpkin collision, so we can just plug it in here. Okay, so we have our pumpkin collision here. Next, what we want to do, let's go to the sourcing tab. We want to increase the amount of density. For this one, I want much thicker smoke. I want more. I want it to cover pretty much all this area. So we're going to set the density to be 25. We're going to reduce the velocity, and you can actually delete the burn, and I can just turn it off. We don't need the burn here. In the velocity, let's do 0.25. Let's add divergence. We're gonna have stronger divergence, so density into divergence. Source scale is gonna be 25, so the smoke is gonna be quite thick. We actually forgot. You can see that the smoke is coming right down, and a lot of it is being captured inside of the pumpkin. We actually need the velocity to push it out of the mouth as well, right? You can see it's clearly being pushed out. So this is why that velocity was important. We actually created the volume, but we didn't do the vectors. So let's put down point velocity, and let's make sure it's connected. Okay, so here we're going to do set to value 0.5 in Z direction. We can add some curl noise, 0.35. So for the dry ice, I want it to be a little bit more turbulent, and then 0.1 for the direction. Okay, cool. So now everything is going to work as intended. It's going to be pushed outward, and there we go. So now we have this nice wave of smoke. We will also need to adjust the dissipation, and we also want to add some more details, right? Because right now it is coming out from the mouth, but we can have it more detailed and disturbed, as well as we can have some more turbulence on the surface of the smoke. Let's go to fields. Let's reduce the dissipation 10 times, so the smoke would stay a bit longer. We can also reduce the cooling rate. So these settings are more directed to achieve a more realistic dry ice effect, right? So it's such a cold smoke, so it will cool down slower, it will dissipate slower, right? And then it will have a lot of the outside temperature turbulence, because it's a very cold air which is very close to warmer air, right? So there's going to be a lot of turbulence. So let's go to the shape tab. Let's turn on disturbance. I'm going to add more disturbance here. So multiply by 1.5. Let's unroll the disturbance, set smaller block size. And we can also turn on control by speed, and then in the fields, I want to calculate the speed. Okay. And then this one would have turbulence as well. So let's turn on the turbulence. Let's unroll the settings. So 0.05. We can have a smaller swirl size and more octaves, 3. Now, if I press play, this would be, it's pretty much there. I like what the shapes are looking now. You know, you can increase disturbance, you can make it stronger, and so on. But additionally, what I did in the final, I added a vortex confinement inside of the pyrosolver. So vortex confinement is a microsolver that would increase the curl turbulent details inside of the velocities, right? So it will basically make it more detailed. So we can go inside of the pyrosolver, and the vortex confinement is acting as a force. So press tab, type gas vortex confinement, and let's connect it here. Confinement scale I'm going to increase to 0.5. Okay, now let's go back. So this is basically what I had for the dry ice effect, but feel free to play with the settings. There is also a dry ice shape, dry ice shelf. If you go to SOP-Pyro, we will be actually using one element from this new shelf, which is going to be the candle flame. We're going to be using that setup from here, but you can also check out the dry ice set up and see how it was done and maybe implement some of the settings in here. But as a basic setup, this was enough for my project, so I didn't really do anything else. Okay, so let's check the settings one more time. So we have some turbulence. Oh, also I wanted this to progress a little bit slower. So if you go to setup, you can reduce the time scale. So this will actually look like it's progressing much slower. So we can multiply this to 0.55, and then we can add some advection reflection to intensify the edge, the details. Okay, so you can see this is going to look more interesting. Cool. So for the export, yeah, you can see the single project advection reflection would already make the edge much more organic and interesting overall. All right, and we can also adjust the density further in the shader, but if we just take a look at this, this is now does what it's supposed to do, right? So if we want, we can go to the PyroSolver and you know, you can play with this resolution, but this was my final one. And then for the output, we also don't want any flame, we don't want any color. We want to convert this into VDB, and then we want to cache this to disk. So let's add a file cache. Let's call this mouth smoke. Let's connect this here. And it's going to be pretty much everything all the same here. We just need to set it to, I like to set it to node name, so it's just going to save this. Mouth smoke. Let's save our scene. Save as fx smoke mouth. Okay, let's save the scene, and then what we are going to do, we're going to cache this to disk, right? And this will basically wrap up the Pyro simulation from the Pumpkin. Okay, so let's see you in the next part.